Me too.
Here we go.
Ben, want to get into the world situation and so on.
All right. So let me start though. I know that I've read quotes from you before, and I believe also from your memoirs, where you have said that you would like to see the formation of a world government. What sort of vision do you have for, humanity to stop war and get its act together? So.
Well, I'm afraid I have to start with what you recall. I don't recall that I have said, and I don't think I really feel, that we need a world government. We need governments of the world that work together and collaborate, but I can't imagine that there would be any likelihood or even that it would be desirable to have a single government elected by the people of the world. So I think whatever you heard was misrepresented my feelings.
Okay. So the first question is, he says, I don't want a government of the world elected by the people of the world. Okay, that's the key little sort of wiggle thing there. He likes a secret government of the world, is my guess, not one actually elected by the people of the world. Okay? This is the key to understanding this. And he's denying the quote that everybody's heard of him that comes from his own memoirs. So that's his official face. I don't want a world government, but only if it's elected by the people. There's a quote if you go to Wikipedia and Google under David Rockefeller saying that. Now,
what I've told you is my feeling.
Well, you're the man. Now, the other thing is, people are worried about the situation with Iran and some kind of wider conflict emerging from that. What do you think is going to happen there? What's your view about the tensions between Iran and the United States right now?
Well, I think the first thing is that Iran itself is a problem, but its relationship with its neighbors, probably from the point of view of the United States, is the thing that we would be most concerned about, because there are such different points of view in the area, and the possibilities of conflict between the nations within the area is certainly what is of concern to our country.
Okay. Now, here in Asia, people say that the current structure of world institutions is not fair. They say that European peoples account for 17% of the world population and 40% of GDP, but they control 4 out of the 5 permanent Security Council seats. Asians are 65% of the world population and 40% of GDP, so they think some sort of better representation is needed. What is your view about this?
I think it's an issue that understandably and legitimately is raised by the nations with a smaller percentage. When the United Nations was created back right after World War II, the world situation was a totally different one, and the influence of different powers was very different. Therefore, I think that it is understandable that those nations with large populations that feel they're underrepresented have a point, and that this should be addressed. I don't think it's something that, to me, is immediately a serious problem, but I do think that it's something that should be taken up in the United Nations, and that over time, some redistribution of voting power within the United Nations structure seems likely and probably appropriate.
Now, he's saying Iran is causing trouble with its neighbors, and I'm not aware of any such evidence, okay? It sounds to me like he's just trying to find an excuse to attack Iran. Now, on the United Nations thing, well, basically saying, you know, someday, but not now. And his whole attitude is like, it's really his decision, and it's not, okay? The Asians are tired of waiting. They're not going to wait another forever. Time has run out. This is what the Asian Secret Society is telling me, is that enough is enough. We live on the same planet. We both get rights to decide how it's run. They're tired of European domination of the planet. They want to share stewardship of the planet Earth. And the Asians want peace. They're tired of Westerners causing wars. They want world peace. That's what they want. And they want a more fair world structure. And I don't see any reason why that cannot be done immediately. Now, also, it's sort of difficult for me to ask this, but these days conspiracy theories are running rampant on the internet. And I thought you could, metaphorically speaking, take the bull by the horns and, let me ask you confronting with or ask you what these people are saying. First of all, they say that you are the secret ruler of the world. What is your response to that?
Well, in the first place, you're not the first person who has raised this issue. There have been people ever since I've had any kind of position in the world who have accused me of being a ruler of the world. I have to say, I think for the large part, I would have to decide to describe them as crackpots. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever and isn't true and won't be true. And to raise it as a serious issue seems to me to be irresponsible.
Now, you see, that's what happens when you ask a question directly like that, okay? That's the sort of answer you're going to get. Are you the secret ruler of the world? You say, well, no. Okay? So, later you'll see why you have to take a more indirect route to get the same response in a different way. What do you think the great issues are?
Running our own country better and having our own country play a more balanced and effective role in the world.
Okay. And what's wrong now with the way it's running, the U.S. government?
You mean wrong with our country? Or?
Yes.
I think one of the things that is needed is the fact that I don't think enough people in high positions in our country accept the importance of our world role with sufficient gravity. I mean, in other words, I think the tendency, because of politics and getting elected, is to stress local issues, and of course they are important, but I would like to see more of the leaders of our country spend more time in traveling, for one thing, getting to know the world, and studying history. To me, one of the sad things about our country is that our leadership, to a greater extent than I would like, is more concerned about very domestic issues than they are about our relations in the world.
In this particular case, I have to agree. There's a joke going around in the world. What do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. And what do you call someone who speaks 1 language? American. You guys are going to be left behind if you don't sort of take a look at the world. Okay, the world is passing you by. You're going to become irrelevant unless you keep up. You're going to lose to people who speak 2 or 3 languages, know 2 or 3 cultures. That's a warning. He's right on the mark that time, I'm afraid to say. You guys are not the center of the world anymore. And the sooner you figure that out, the better it is for everybody.